Hello dear colleagues and welcome back to our Guided Surgery Navitomia YouTube channel. My name is Nikita and in this video we are going to talk about top 5 mistakes while making surgical guides. We will take a closer look at the consequences we will have after making them, and please take a look at the comments below the video, take a look at the description of the video because you may find something interesting there for you. Let's go! So today we have such a case and we have a specific model, specific scan, and actually while tutoring other doctors and other technicians in the field of guided surgery, I'll always tell that 70% of your success depends on the quality of initial data. What does it mean? It means that your success while making surgical guides almost completely depends on the quality of CBCT scans and quality of intraoral scans or scans of plaster model. So in this video, in this case, we have such a model. Of course, it's prepared, but this scan contains the most common mistakes you can face with, and also we as dental practitioners have to know how to deal with such an issues. Firstly, we see the bubbles. This is the scan of plaster model actually, and we see the bubbles on the frontal group of the teeth. We should not ignore them, and also we have to look at the CBCT scan in order to understand whether it's a real erosion, for example, of the teeth, or it is just a mistake made by a dental technician and so on. And at the CBCT scan, at the axial view right now, you can see that the shape of the scan actually contains a bubble, but CBCT scan shows that there is no bubble. So the first mistake is will be just ignoring this type of bubbles, these defects on scans, intraoral scans or scans of plaster model, and we have to know how to deal with it. So let's just create a surgical guide. I will show you how to actually deal with it. Firstly, we have to generate an undercut and so on. And here is the final step when we can actually improve this situation. As a matter of fact, when we receive such a scan with such a bubbles, we always ask doctors or clinics to remake it because it's quite dangerous and it's quite risky to model surgical guides based on these models. But anyway, if you do not have a time or do not have an opportunity, or maybe the patient is flown away, we have to deal with it somehow. So firstly, we press freeform tools, press plus. We slightly decrease the diameter of this tool, actually for about 2.5 millimeters, something like that. Yeah, and we just add some volume here. Of course, it doesn't mean that everything will be ideal, but we at least increase the probability of success. As I have said, this model is not actually suitable for making surgical guide, but anyway, since there are no chances to make another scan, we can actually make some add some volume here, and in order to actually prevent the bouncing of the guide when it will be done. So it is not how it's supposed to be done, and therefore we just cancel all our previous activity by clicking undo button, and now we can proceed with making surgical guide. So mistake number 2 is to ignore such holes, despite of the occlusal surface is quite well scanned. Sometimes it's quite challenging to scan the jaw without any holes, or to scan a plaster model without any holes, but since you are making and model surgical guides, you have to pay attention at these areas as well. Let's return to our guide design section, and I will show you the consequences of such a mistake. I will just quickly make an undercut, and I will make such a border, just trying to make it quick. I turn off these implants not to let them be included in the guide design, and I just make a simple surgical guide, never mind. And now I will show you why it is a mistake. So as we can see, actually, if we discuss, we have an undercut constructed, and the program, the software automatically closes these holes, but believe me, it's not the reason to celebrate. And of course, it will allow you to actually construct the surgical guide. But if we take a closer look at this CBCT scan at the area of this hole, we will realize, now I will turn off the undercut, and here is the shape of the anatomy scan, and here is this hole. This is the axial view, and you see the shape of the tooth actually, and the shape of the guide intersects the border of the tooth, meaning that during the operation, the surgical guide, your surgical guide, will never ever fit the teeth, actually, since they are not removed. So this is quite a common mistake, and the logic of this actually fabrication of surgical guide is the same we actually discussed at the previous step. Now let me just create undercut once again. Firstly, you have to play with the certain direction, because if you place it like so, you will have the lines parallel to your insert direction. If you have such a holes, you have to make a proper position of your direction. We press generate undercut, and also let's add some volume here. Of course, there will be no contact in this area between surgical guide and between teeth, but believe me, it's much more better than there would be too much contact, and your surgical guide would never ever fit the teeth. So what I wanted to tell you actually is that if you have one, let's say, local area of this expanded volume, that will be not so dramatic as it would be a hole here and the lack of the volume, which would bring about bad consequences. Now let's make a surgical guide once again. I press next step, and let's discuss it once again. And you see that we have a shape of the teeth, and now we have something like security zone between our surgical guide and between the teeth, because right now our surgical guide does not intersect the shape of the teeth. So mistake number 3 is a lack of the borders of surgical guide. Let me just briefly show you what I mean. I press guide design once again. Now let's set insert direction from view. We press generate undercut. We also add some volume here, not to let our guide bounce and play on the teeth. And if you have noticed, we have also another problem with the lack of the soft tissues here. I mean, not lack of the soft tissues of the patient, but the lack of the soft tissues at the scan. And if we make such a border again, like so, let's make it. We press create guide, and there will be some particles which will be hanging during making surgical guide. Yeah, what I mean. Like so, right? If you leave it as it is, I will show you what's gonna be next. Please never forget that you actually work with virtual scans, virtual data, but the patient have actually everything everything we see on the scans, everything we see in the windows and so on. What I mean that there is a bone actually, and now I am lucky because these hanging particles are not in contact with the bone, but the distance between our guide and the bone is 0.4 millimeters, which is actually absolutely very close. And what does it mean? That means that if you make a flap, you will face with the problem that actually surgical guides is in contact not with the soft tissues but with the bone, and you will actually have to make a bone reduction in order to make a guide fit. And this is the most common mistake while making surgical guides. Actually, please pay attention that you work not only, you have to take into account not only the shape of the soft tissues in the shape of the scan, but also please pay attention at the bone as well. Mistake number 4 is to actually ignore this anatomic lesion problem because you probably are not very familiar with offsets. Once again, offset is actually, in terms of making surgical guides, is the distance between the lower edge of the sleeve and the upper edge of the implant. In RealGUIDE and other softwares dedicated to surgical guide creation, you can adjust these number like 8, 7, 6 and so on. And every guided system, surgical guide, I mean every guided surgery system like RealGUIDE and other guided surgery kits have a standard offset. RealGUIDE system have standard offset equal to 5 millimeters. That means that standard offset between this sleeve and the implant is 5 millimeters. So what will happen if you will ignore such a situation? Let's press once again guide design. We will create a guide. I will not actually correct all this data right now, not to waste your and my time, but we keep in mind about these bubbles. And let's turn on these sleeves. So let's make it so. When I watched all tutorials, some doctors and technicians told like, never mind, it's okay, just make a flap and everything will be okay. But believe me, it's not gonna be okay. Of course, we talk about the probability, but the probability is quite probability of failure is quite big here. And what we have now, let me just change the layout. What we have here, what problems we can face with here. The first, we see that the border of the guide is quite small. I don't know if I will be able to, yeah. So we see that the thickness of the guide in this area is 1.7 millimeters, and believe me, according to our statistics, this area is the champion between among the guide breakage. I mean, in this area, the guide, the surgical guide, most probably will be cracked because this area is, I mean, this part of the guide is laying on the tooth, and these parts of the guide with the sleeve, I mean, is experiencing a mechanical load. So the surgeon presses with a drill, presses with his tool to this area, and most probably this area will be cracked during the operation. That's the actually problem number one. The problem number two is actually with this sleeve. As a matter of fact, that happens mostly because of the process of post-fabrication of the guide, because these sleeves have to be glued into the guide. So they are being installed with the same resin as surgical guide, and there is no chemical adhesion between surgical guide made of surgical guide resin and metal sleeve. So the post-fabrication process assumes that there will be a special, actually mechanical connection between these sleeves, surgical guide, and since this sleeve is not fully covered with the, let's say, body of surgical guide, this mechanical retention will be not enough for fixing properly this sleeve into the guide, in the guide actually, and while applying rotating drill, this surgical guide sleeve can just fly away out of the guide, and this is actually quite a problem during the operation. And the last mistake number 5, is the lack of the windows. The control windows, let me just show you how they should be done. We make a border of the guide, and we press generate undercut, we press create guide. And as a matter of fact, since these two sleeves are located close, sorry, this is not how it's supposed to be done, but anyway, we'll talk about, we actually discussed the borders previously about this zone. Actually, since these two sleeves are located quite close to the teeth, the program will make the windows automatically. But believe me, it's quite a good idea to make a window from the vestibular part. We make it like so, just to quickly estimate, just to make just to let actually the surgeon quickly estimate the fitting of the guide on the teeth, because sometimes during the operation it's quite not obvious whether guide fitted or not, and this type of windows actually allows to do it instantly in just a few seconds. Sometimes you can see the windows like so, but actually I don't know what can you see there actually, like it is. Anyway, you have to use the mirrors, you have to look somehow into this window in order to estimate, but to my mind these vestibular windows are actually more suitable for such purposes. But anyway, it depends on the doctor and depends on the preferences. And what I would like to tell you more about the windows is that window should not make a construction of the guide quite weak, because the other option, another option, sorry, is to make a quite big window, but your surgical guide will lose actually its volume, and it can be broken here as well. So this is it, dear doctors, dear colleagues, many thanks for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe to this channel, put your like to this video and write a comment. Nikita was with you, take care, bye bye, and see you in the next videos.